It's October the 25th, 2022. It's early. It's about 1 o'clock in the morning. And I'm going to share a correspondence that I sent to those who pose as public servants in British Columbia. One in particular, known as Johnny Van Camp. So I'll read this now. So I sent this Sunday, October 23rd. Johnny Van Camp, you along with a myriad of your friends have been found guilty of aiding and abetting repeated acts of genocide against myself and my family. Now, what I've got here, I'm not sure if you've gone in and read the forced adoption as murder deposition. I'm not sure if you've gone in and read the $3.7 billion common law high court desk order against CIBC for genocide. There's links in that document as well. There's the BC court, which Melissa Gillespie exposed. And then, of course, we've got the fraudulent folks pretending to be the BC money laundering Cullen inquiry, who, by the way, don't give a flying fuck that there's money laundering going on. So Johnny Van Camp, found guilty of genocide, have been sentenced to life in prison, legally. Unfortunately, you, a liar, caught speaking your native language, obviously lying repeatedly. And that YouTube link is to a 5-minute conversation I had with Johnny Van Camp earlier in the year, where the thing repeatedly lies in less than 5 minutes. I, special prosecutor from foreign jurisdiction, making special appearance, living woman expert in law, justice, and judgment, against you, a proven evildoer. Be informed which, Johnny Van Camp, King's Common Law High Court sentences and commands you to apply for the assisted suicide public service offered across Canada to those in obvious state of rapid decline. I will witness, date, and sign your Death with Dignity application and be present on your celebrated date of death. Johnny Van Camp, you will personally collect all proof required as laid out in government application paperwork to personally, respectfully, peacefully hand me, the woman you hate, all documents, exhibits, and court recordings to expose the child trafficking, systematic racism, sheer corruption, incompetence, ignorance, and arrogance of persons acting as the Provincial Court of BC and the BC Supreme Court clowns who have tried to murder me and mine with acts of repeated genocide. Johnny Van Camp, your cursed name comes up repeatedly in the public service announcement attached to this lawful notice correspondence as you are commanded to follow directions provided forthwith. Directions for you to accompany me, the woman you hate and tried to repeatedly murder, with you and your friends, vexatious, frivolous, scandalous, without merit, false accusations of no force or effect, fraudulent court, absolute joke. Judgment orders, which are their opinions, right? AKA words and deeds. Number 1, to the office of the person acting as the Minister of Finance to pick up this $730 million judgment against the province of British Columbia for racist, vile, BC public servant evildoers' repeated acts of genocide against myself and my family. To the Douglas Street branch of RICO CIBC to pick up the $3.7 billion judgment for those racist, vile, evildoers' acts of genocide against myself and my family. To the building of the District of Saanich to pick up the $3.7 million judgment for those racist, vile, evildoers aiding and abetting acts of hate, persecution, and genocide against my family. There are still toxic trespassers contaminating and destroying my stolen, untouchable, and trust private property. Johnny Van Camp, you are required by law and my command to have those criminals removed forthwith. That is your job as I direct. Call the criminals acting as District of Saanich law enforcement to do their job of protecting me, the woman being harmed in this satanic shit show, as not one of you so-called public servants seems to know what to do to serve me, a victim of your racism, hatred, fraud, assaults, criminal harassment. You've gone in and you've heard how I'm spoken to, right? You've done that, haven't you? You need to be aware of what's going on around you. You need to be aware of who these things who are pretending to be public servants, who they really are. There is a full force and effect lawful judgment against criminals Benjamin Howe, Sandra Dennis, and criminal organ Haltham Holdings, being forwarded to persons acting as the BC Securities Commission, who forward that lawful judgment to persons acting as BC Forfeiture Public Service Office, so justice is served in a timely manner as lawfully required. Do you understand the living are authority? Do you understand the victim provides directives to all public servant persons? Do you understand? Now, have you ever read Daniel 12:10? You need to go read it. So it explains, in clear, concise language, it's prophetic, that the wicked understand abso-fucking-lutely nothing, because they don't. They never have, and they never will. They understand nothing. Listen to me. Children of the devil are blind and deaf. They're cursed. They come out of the womb that way. There's nothing that can be done for them. They're arrogant. What's the difference between wheat and a weed? Or wheat and tares? Wheat when it's fully mature bows. A weed, a tare, is stiff-necked. It won't bow. You get it? Yours very truly. And I sign that because that fucking satanic sewer rat, Demon Daniel, the cursed, Carol. Yeah, that's how that puke signs his fucking bullshit, fucking satanic skank fucking letters. Yeah, when it's committing an act of genocide. When it's lying its fucking face off, that's how it signs its letters. Because remember I taught you about backmasking? Remember I taught you how the witch, everything to a witch is backwards. To a witch, evil is good and good is evil to a witch. And that's who they are. You get that, don't you? They fucking think backwards, they fucking talk backwards, everything they fucking do is backwards. To these fucking Freemasonic fucktards, and that's who they are. The criminal is the victim, and the victim is the criminal. You understand, don't you? How many times do I have to teach you the same thing? That's what's going on here. All rights of the peculiar people enforced and reserved. And KC because, yes, I'm King's Counsel. That's one of my virtues. Go read Isaiah 11:2. Those are the virtues of the peculiar people. And by the way, that's the fruit of the Holy Spirit, okay? Not that fucking bullshit from the false apostle Paul that the world is just absolutely convinced is an apostle. But like my brother said, only the elect can't be deceived. So I'm not sure. Let's see here. I don't know where I should show you first. Maybe we'll go in here, because in order to stop them from stealing my house, I went and I filed a notice of civil claim at the beginning of January 2020, because they've forcibly removed me from my home on March the 19th, 2020. So I took this down and I had this filed. I paid money for service and I got no service at all. So every single thing and every single person on this notice of civil claim is guilty. Guilty. I don't go around accusing anyone at any time for any reason of not causing me and mine loss, harm, and injury, and that's exactly what each and every one of these things, public service agencies, or these persons named here. And by the way, John Doe and Jane Doe would be the savages who purchased my biological real property after he was kidnapped and chosen immediately for child trafficking as, you know, the highly marketable don't get to go home if you don't understand what's going on. So you have to understand the thousands of hours of research that I would have done before I even wrote this, because that's exactly what I would have done. So I don't know if you've read this or not. I'm not going to go into it with you right now. That's not, you know, but you can guarantee, like I said, I've gone on Canly, and I've looked up notices of civil claim, because what this is, it's like it's like an essay. Do you get that? This is the introduction to the exhibits, to the affidavits and the exhibits. This is what this is. This introduces what the affidavits are and what the exhibits are. That's what the beginning is. It's like, you understand that, don't you? And here I'm naming names. I'm naming who the witches are that have stolen my son and trafficked him. And that's just some of the names. And yes, like I say, everybody listed is guilty. Every person listed is guilty. Guilty, guilty, guilty. Because what has to happen is, then at some point you have to go in, right? Because this is such a fucking joke, right? Like, the defendants are Majesty the Queen. So again, I would have done thousands of hours of research before I wrote this. And it's fucking good, by the way. Jurisdiction. Okay, we'll go read that. Relief sought, right? Part 2. Relief sought. So, yes, right? You've got general, special, punitive. You've got damages. You kidnapped my biological real property. You had no case whatsoever. According to your own fucking legal rules, what you're doing is committing an act of genocide against myself and my family due to your hatred and jealousy. You know, the dead are jealous of the living. You get that, right? That's the whole crux of the fucking situation. The children of the devil are jealous of the children of the Most High, the peculiar people, because they're not people. So $37 million. Because here's the problem. I don't serve two masters, okay? You better get through your fucking heads right now. I don't give a flying fuck about the mammon. I don't. I could care less. It means nothing to me. Listen, real men and real women, that is not our claim to we're not about that. We know it has no value. But what I'm trying to do is, what I had to do is I had to stop them from doing this to anybody else. And because they do worship the dragon, because they do worship Leviathan, you go after what they worship. And $37 million is not out of the scope of the harm, loss, and damage that's been caused, because my baby was kidnapped. Get this, March the 19th, 2009. Kidnapped. And sold. So he's 5 when they kidnap him, and he's sold in 2012. So you can't, I mean, there's no amount of money, right? It's like going for an injunction. There's no amount of money that could ever be provided that could compensate for him and I losing out on our relationship for the last decade. Because I can tell you that he wasn't sold to the good. He was sold to the evildoers. Because that's who's buying an 8-year-old. What have they done to him? He's living a life of lies. There's no love in a lie. So for the last decade, he's been, I know, you don't think I'm still connected? And here's the funny thing. They completely cut you off altogether. It's like I never existed in his life at all. All I have left are photos and videos. Is that okay with you? Are you fucking serious? So $37 million in damages is not out of the scope, because you realize these fucking savages are hoarding billions of dollars, right? It's not like they can't pay the judgment. And then, of course, we come up on fucking Fulton and Company. That's the coven in Kamloops who's committing an act of genocide by, well, you can't touch and trust private property. But they just fucking came in, committed application and title fraud. So a couple of Asian abomination families, quote-unquote families, could place fraudulent mortgages again and again on my stolen property. So they were to pay, well, 1.37 million. Cook Roberts, now that's a fucking witch here in Kamloops, in Victoria, who's covered for a rapist who raped me when I was 16. And I sued the rapist for damages. And not only was I not compensated, I wasn't heard, I wasn't listened to. I was told that I was speaking in circles by a witch named Peter Neely. And then the witch says, well, so now you lose, and now the rapist and the rapist's lawyer now get to decide whatever it is that they decide to take from you in financial gain. No shit. Not even joking. So, of course, this fucking puke Carl Hamilton has to be sued. You're not gonna fucking be a witch and steal from me and fucking walk away. Yeah, I'm afraid that law and justice doesn't work that way. Well, John Doe and Jane Doe, you know, you have to stop trafficking children. You're gonna stop trafficking children. So, you know, I have to bankrupt John Doe and Jane Doe, whoever they are, whoever bought my son, when I never consented to that, and I know he didn't either. I can't even tell you the amount of lies that were fucking told, and the amount of ugly that I faced. Well, the Canadian Imperial Bank of Commerce, well, at that time, because they hadn't done what they had, see, I'd filed this to get them to stop all of what they were doing. To stop you. To stop them. To stop the evildoer. To stop the witch. To stop the covens of children of the devil, who once again are out to murder me. By stealing everything. Which you can't legally do. You sure the fucking can't do it lawfully. So 3.7 million. 3.7 million at that time. That's what I was seeking in damages. Jim Cutting is a cold-blooded murderer who was attacking me and destroyed my business. He was on probation when he was doing that to me, and I went to the Victoria Puke Department to report the crime. There was proof everywhere that this puke was doing this to me, and instead of being helped, I'm viciously, violently assaulted, tortured, and attacked, and told to shut my face. And so it continued, and the puke completely destroyed my property. My business, and my sense of peace. I was terrified to go to work. And so there's a pattern of behavior here. There's a pattern of behavior going on. Ashhole Knightley, well, he stole $50,000 worth of my personal and tradeswoman property, locked me out of my business, so he could gift everything that I owned to this thing called Melanie Titizan, who since 2018 has been using $50,000 worth of my stolen property to make itself money. It basically walked into my business and just fucking took it over without paying for any of my property. You don't walk into someone's business and just take it over. And yet that's what those two did. And I went to the Victoria Puke Department again before the crime had even taken place, and I said, I've just been locked out of my business. There's a contract in place. I had till the end of the month to vacate. And now I've let them know out of professional courtesy that I'm taking all of, like, everything and anything as a commercial tradesman or woman that you attach to the walls of the room that you lease, if you bought what's attached to the walls, you have every legal and lawful right to take it with you when you leave. And that's exactly the lease that I had signed. And yet when I said I'm going to be taking everything with me because it's mine, right? So you let this Melanie Tittyzan know that it's going to have to hire contractors, it's going to have to hire plumbers, it's going to have to refit this room completely because everything attached to these walls I bought, I paid for, it's mine, it's coming with me. Fuckface locks me out and fucking steals everything, plus steals most of my personal chattel that was in the room, like a $300 raincoat I had in there. And fucking just fuckface, the fucking Melly Titty Zan just fucking walks right into my business and fucking takes it over, sets up her shit and fucking starts making money. And when I went to fucking Vic PD, this fucking bald-headed puke sitting behind the desk, I said, there's a crime about to take place here. You hear the same fucking thing every time from these fucking satanic savages. It's a civil matter. No, puke face. Theft over fucking 5,000 is not a fucking civil matter. It's not a civil matter. So once again, they're a pattern of behavior. I go report crime, and no, it's a civil fucking matter. No, it isn't a civil matter. No, it's not. Well, Dale Nevens, you might recognize that last name. That happens to be the thing who thinks it's my dad. And then you've got Harvey and Michael Bombardier. Now, Harvey and Michael Bombardier own JR Drilling in Cranbrook, BC. Harvey Bombardier is a multimillionaire. After they stole my son, and I knew what was happening, and if you have a legal aid liar, they don't work for you, they work for who's paying them. They're spies. They're not there to help you, they're there to make sure your baby, if highly marketable, never comes home. So I called up Harvey, and I'm like, I need help. Like, we have, like, you don't understand what's happening here. Like, we need to make sure this doesn't take place, because it's going to destroy his life, and it's going to destroy my life, and it's wrong. They don't have a case on me. No, go fuck yourself. These are Christians, by the way. Yeah, those fucking nasty Christians. So again, right, it's prophesied that widows have their homes stolen. So when they're coming to steal my house, I call up his wife, Karen, my aunt. I'm like Auntie Karen. The bank is now filed a fraudulent foreclosure petition. They're now going to come and steal my house, Auntie Karen. Like, they're trying to extort me for $40,000 I don't owe. I need help. And I get fucking abused. Completely fucking abused. Told to stop acting like the victim. That I need to go to fucking church. Because I'm fucking somebody else's problem. And yet they've got literally millions. Well, let's see. 65 acres in Cranbrook. They have a house in Arizona. Michael, they have a private plane. But no, I'm somebody else's problem. Right, of course I am. And then, of course, you have to go into part 3, the legal basis, right? You have to go into all this other fucking shit of, you know, the lies, the legal part of your claim. And so I do that. So I'll let you go in there and take a look at what's written, because it's, you know, it's golden. I wrote it, so you know it's good. Although I will tell you, I am not the same woman I was when I wrote this, because here's the thing with the peculiar people. We're the living, so the living are always growing. That's why we're always in pain. That's why you've heard the term growing pains, right? The dead are exactly the same the day they're born as the day they die. They never change. They are the same. Completely fucking useless, from womb to fucking tomb. That's who your children of the devil are. No shit. my God, I remember trying to do this before and it wouldn't let me into the document. Hopefully it'll let me in. Ah, the joys of old appliances. Excuse me, while we wait for this to upload. So the reason why we're going to get into this document is I need to show you some legal bullshit that they pulled on me, because there was 2 satanic rituals, satanic mocking rituals, to get rid of my notice of civil claim. I was never once asked or interviewed at all by any of these witches acting as BC Attorney Generals as to what was going on. They completely ignored me. They completely ignored everything that they've done to me and to my family. And yet, one of these witches acting as BC Attorney Generals was trying to run a peace bond on me because Melanie Tittyzan has fucking called the fucking Vic PD and complained that I'm saying to this thing, you're in possession of $50,000 worth of my stolen property and you're not going to be continuing to use my property to make yourself money. So the witch calls up the Vic PD and all of a sudden I'm being tortured, I'm being criminally harassed. They're coming onto my property and hounding me. And then all of a sudden I'm going to be arrested for telling the truth about this witch. And they're going to run a peace bond on me. But never once am I asked what's going on. Because you know Tittyzan's on her way to jail, right? Because I'm laying criminal charges. So when I write a deposition, the most important part, before I get into like the meat of what's happening to me, I have to explain who I am. And some individuals learn better with visual aids, right? That's what the memes are about. That, and I have an entire world going on inside of me. Right, I'm an INFJ personality type. We don't swim in shallow waters, right? We're extremely complicated. Everything is complicated to us. Everything. Because we know the truth. And we see what's happening around us. So that's what all the memes are about, right? Like I have to explain. So, and I know if I go too fast, this thing's going to snap out on me, so I got to be careful here. Right, so like I need to explain to everybody, right? There's a different species, right? Pure-blooded men and women, and then you've got the humans, the male and females. Humans and chimps are 98.5% genetically the same. Coincidence? No. No such thing. Yep, there's my brother. Yep, fucking not my circus, not my monkeys. Right, exactly. No, sir. No, I don't know you. Depart from me. I don't know you. Okay? Thanks, but no thanks. Right, because you get what a person is, right? A person, it's a thing. That's where they need to flip you into a person, right? That's what your birth certificate is about. Your birth certificate, your name is in all capital letters, like on a tombstone. They flip you from being one of the living into one of the dead so they can deal with you and they can steal everything from you, continually rape you. This thing is still downloading. Yeah, science can't explain me. I have Rh negative blood. INFJ. These are, I roll up on these memes and I don't create them, but I mean, they're just, INFJ, we're basically, geez, right, exactly. Yeah. Around 6% of the world has Rh negative blood, right? Again, rare. We're not your norm. Yeah, if one of us tells you that we're an INFJ and you don't go look that up, just fucking get away from us, because we have no time for you. And it's true. Why do you think I'm going through all this? Why do you think that baby was taken from me? Well, one of the reasons, and there's myriad of reasons why. I don't think I don't know them all. I'm a thinker, okay? Yeah. I'm using both sides of my brain at the same fucking time. That's rare. He needs me to be a witness against that entire industry. They are trafficking children in Canada's #3 for child trafficking under the guise of child protection. They're not protecting anybody's child. Don't you get that? It's not about protecting anybody's child, and it's not about family development. Remember, I taught you, they're backwards. They're absolutely fucking backwards. And then, of course, the house being stolen, the way it was stolen. He needs me to be a witness against the entire banking industry in Canada because it's corrupt as fuck. It's got nothing to do with the truth. Nothing. It's all a lie. Okay, this is still downloading. I can see this thing. I just don't want it to snap. It's gonna, like, it'll take me out of here, and then I'll have to start again, and then that's not cool. This meme was interesting, the one on the bottom left. To refer to ourselves as another race is presumptuous and wrong. We need to stop that. We are not another race. We are another species. Yeah, right. That's why, in The Way, the Truth, and the Life, it's commanded no bestiality. Do you understand that? A human would be a beast. So that's why I, as a real woman, can't carry the offspring of a beast. My body will abort that thing because it doesn't, it's different, it's, what the fuck is that? It's like a cancerous tumor. Like, whoa, no, I'm not giving birth to a monster. But now they, they've got medicine. Now you get a fucking ROGAM shot. Which, by the way, they made me take. Everyone wants to hear the truth until an INFJ opens their mouth. That is so fucking true. And it's so true. From the outside looking in, you could never understand. And from the inside looking out, you can't explain. How do I explain this to you? How do I explain what my life is like for you, to you, if you're not standing in my shoes? It's true. You couldn't handle me if I came with instructions. Can't tell if he's lying. Let's strap him to the INFJ. Many types of people in the world, and I'm not any of them. And yes, we are in an extreme amount of pain all of the time. That's why most days it's hard to move. Yep, and that's what happens when someone tells me to calm down. I go full fucking Chucky. Don't be telling me to calm down. Has that ever worked before when someone's outraged? It just gets them more outraged. There's a reason why you're outraged if you're one of the living. Is because you're paying attention. Yeah, it takes a lot to anger one of us, but when you do, fucking run. Like, fucking run. Because you're done. I will not apologize for telling the truth to a world that worships lies. That's what it stands for. I'm not fucking joking. Listen up. Is this thing still spinning on me? It is still spinning on me. INFJs will say what everyone is thinking but refuse to say. They will genuinely not understand why no one will say it. The truth is important to them and they want others to see it too. Well, how am I going to wake you up? Oh, God. We don't understand why you pay a shrink. We will fucking tell you what's wrong with you for free. We're more than happy to do so. INFJ, it's not our fault you're too stupid to understand us. I have never insulted anyone. I simply describe them accurately, says every INFJ. Right, so you remember that the woman with the issue of bleeding, and my brother's walking through one of the villages, and she touches the hem of his garment. She just touches the hem, and he feels that, right? Well, that's what happens when you're an empath. That's what happens when you're a super sensitive, right? Again, right? The world will provide for you testimony about who I am based on all the aspects of my life. Every puzzle piece of my life will tell you who I am. My date of arrival, my personality type, my blood type. 2 or 3 witnesses of the truth establish the truth. Yep, better get your depends on. Shit's about to get real. Okay, because you understand, right? Like, they have all these fucking bullshit things that they call acts. And I had to go learn them all. Because my gut instinct when I found out they're coming to steal the house is, well, you can't steal my house. That was my gut instinct. You can't fucking steal my house. What? No. So what do? I have to go in and learn all their legal bullshit. And by the way, there was witness after witness after witness that they can't come and do what they're doing. And this whole fucking situation where they keep trying to force me to file a probate. No, I'm afraid that was never required. Because you fucking witches are constantly looking to steal money, because that's what you worship, you will tell any and all sorts of lies to force someone. Well, it's called extortion. It's called bribery. They want me to pay $10,000 to have the estate that they stole from me released. No. I tell you fucking what, there's not one witch in the province of British Columbia that's ever going to get their fucking hands on that original document. That's my property. No one touches it. No one touches it. You cannot be trusted, obviously. Because, you better go and learn this so this doesn't happen to you. Because you don't go trust one of these bar members. Because you understand this is a 2-page trust, right? And let me explain to you part of the reason why there is no probate required. And there's many witnesses to why there isn't one required. So in part 4B, my trustee, that's who I would be, that's my title, may at any time compromise, settle, or waive any claim due to or due by my estate for whatever consideration and on whatever terms I decide and extend, continue, or renew any evidence of any liability I may have as endorser, guarantor, surety, or otherwise for any liability of any person. That's one of the reasons why probate is not required. That's also one of the reasons why property tax is not required. That's settled land. Settled land, settled property. That's been my family's property for 20 years. This is not rocket science. Not rocket science at all. And there's my spouse's signature, his wedding signature with 2 witnesses, because you got to have 2 witnesses, right? So I'm looking for, because the executor's authority comes from the will and not the letters probate. So that's actually what probate is, right? They're so fucking disgusting. They're such busybodies that these witches who pretend to be justices, they want to know abso-fucking-lutely everybody's business. That's why they, absolutely demand, if you don't know what you're talking about, that you file a probate. Well, there is no estate. Everything's been stolen. So what the fuck would you like me to list? There is nothing to list. Yet I've been told repeatedly I have to file a probate. By which after which after which after which. Because the plan is to never allow me to inherit anything I was gifted. I was gifted a car, that got stolen to pay for their fucking crime. I was gifted a house, that got stolen by way of application and title fraud, so fraudulent fucking mortgage after fraudulent mortgage can be placed on my interest private property. They wouldn't give me any money to move. So the first two fucking abominations, they ended up with thousands of dollars of irreplaceable personal property of mine. That's why it's genocide, right? That's why I fought for an injunction. Right. So how to avoid probate in Canada? Well, you set up a trust. Well, that's exactly what my spouse did. Since the property is owned by the trust, it never becomes part of the probate estate, and it's not subject to probate. Right. Is that fucking complicated? No? But if you go talk to a liar, if you go talk to a bar member, if they can trick you, if they can scam you, so they can fucking make money illegally, they're going to do that. They're going to do that. Yep, that's what they do. That's why you never go talk to a liar. So what I'm looking for here is, well, I'll show you when we get there. I just want to make sure this thing doesn't snap out on me. Because that's a mortgage-free property, eh? Did I show you that? My spouse had mortgage insurance, life insurance on the mortgage. If he passed away and something happened, then the house is mortgage-free. That fucking bank made $250,000 on interest alone, because you have to understand when that mortgage gets paid out, it gets paid out like every single mortgage payment has been made. So for doing absolutely nothing but being witches, that CIBC made $250,000 just because my spouse had purchased life insurance on the mortgage. You don't find that sick? Because there's evidence everywhere that these fucking lawyers are sewer rats, eh? I mean, the civil torts alone are fucking just outrageous. Guilty of injurious falsehood, guilty of intimidation. And here's the thing. You've had the witches acting as Vic PD all involved in this. You've got all the witches acting as Saanich PD all involved in this act of genocide. You've got a provable pattern of behavior. Guilty of passing off. Guilty of breach of fiduciary duty. Yeah. Right. So you realized, right, that my brother prophesied, so did Micah, that I would have my house stolen. But they cheat widows out of their homes. Recorded in Mark, recorded in Luke. That's why there's 4 Gospels. There's 4 Gospels because you need to prove that what my brother said, he said. And he was witness saying it by at least 2 or 3 of those Gospels. Otherwise, you've got nothing. Well, here's one of the liars that tried to file a probate, and I wouldn't do it. I knew something was wrong, but you have to understand I'm severely damaged, because what you have to understand is I found out that my son's been sold in, was it 2013 or 2014? Then I've got this witch attacking me at work while it's on probation, violating all of the probation, all the terms and conditions. Violating every one. I'm being attacked at work. Then all of a sudden, my spouse passes away. Then I apply for survivor and pension benefits and told I'm never getting them. Right? That turned into a World War fucking III, as it always does when I tell the truth to liars. The liar always turns around and tells me, the truth teller, that I'm lying. So now all of a sudden, I'm not doing well. My spouse has passed away suddenly. I'm in complete shock. I can barely function. And all of a sudden, I'm dealing with these bar members. I know I'm not being told the truth, but like, I still want to trust these monsters. That's my natural inclination. It isn't anymore. And then the survivor pension benefits. They're not coming in, and they should be coming in. There's there was like $15,000 withheld. And all of a sudden, the landlord's locking me out and stealing $50,000 worth of my personal property and personal tradeswoman property. You see what I mean? You see how it just never stops? I go try to get some help, and I'm told the fucking criminal matter is a civil matter. So once again, the crime goes down, and no one's getting held accountable, right? Because this guy here fucking wants to file a probate. Well, why? Why didn't you just tell me? Oh, and by the way, I don't know if you read in here. So here's the thing, right? An act is not a law, and unless I consent to their fucking acts and their bullshit, because they claim that you have to have this matter sorted out in a year, right? You have a year to sort it out. Well, according to who? According to what bullshit? Well, according to their fucking acts, right? Because the liars want you to fucking, figure it out so they can fucking steal money from you. If we didn't go into the... Because here's the thing. That house is going to stay in my spouse's name. This is the last will and testament of my spouse. I appoint me to be the executor of the will and the trustee of the estate. So I was given all of our property of every kind and wherever located to administer as he directed in this will. In administering the estate, my trustee may convert or retain my estate as set out in Part 4A of this will. Okay, well, what does 4A say? 4A says, in addition to all powers conferred by law. See, an act is not a law, and a law is not an act. So he's referring to the law here. This is a lawful document. It's a bulletproof contract. You can't get around it. I give my trustee the following powers to be exercised or not exercised at my discretion, for the administration of the estate and the trusts of the will, right? Because I now own everything. You get that, don't you? I now own all of it. And that's why I've got the power to act or to not act. That's why these are written this way. So let's read 4A together. I can convert the estate or any part of the estate into money. I can decide how, I can decide when, and I can decide on what terms, and I can keep the estate or any part of the estate in the form it is in at my spouse's passing for as long as I decide. Right. So that house title is going to go back in my spouse's name, and everybody can fuck off. Everybody can fuck right off. These fucking animals who pretend to be the Victoria Land Title Office, they're just absolutely fucking useless. If you talk to a liar, you need a fucking electronic signature. No, I don't. Nope. That house is stolen property. That house is going to go back in the owner's name. And we just read together what this says, what this trust fund says. And it can stay that way till I fucking decide that it's not going to be that way. So you can take your fucking axe and your fucking whatever else you got and you can fucking shove it. I don't follow your fucking bullshit. My spouse didn't set that trust up that way. Okay, let's find fuckface here, right? Because this gets good later on. I hope you understand how much effort I have to put in to writing up a document like this. Right? You could never go to one of these fucking sewer rat liars and get them to write a document like this. They're too fucking stupid. It's fucking useless. Oh, here we've got a dog face here. This one, she's just fucking epic. So here, right, you got all this information at your fingertips at all material times, being the age of information, and title fraud is happening all the time. Title fraud happening all the time. Estate title fraud, yep. That mortgage fraud in Canada is surpassing 100 million in total value every year. But I go to the fucking pigs here at Saanich PD and I explain to them, and they're like, yeah, nope. No, don't worry about it. You know, we're going to protect the criminals. Yep, yes, we are. We're going to protect the criminals. Well, here's fucking Graham Mack just lying his fucking face off. In a legal document, by the way, that got filed with the whorehouse at 850 Burdett Avenue. And here's them blacking out the will. This is the way the trust fund went into the first petition when they were stealing my house. That's exactly how I got it. You know, because they were sending me the documents, because I got swift enough to not fucking lie her up. I don't need a liar. I can handle this, thanks. I can fucking look and see the lies that you're telling to commit an act of genocide. And that's exactly, they blacked it out completely. Fraudulent concealment is what it's called, folks. Oh, and look, here's the witches here. Here's Hal Hicks. Here's Graham Mack. You understand, right? The compass and the square fit perfectly into that provincial emblem there. Because that's who they are, right? So they have to conceal the crimes of their brothers. That's part of the shtick. Okay, so this is hilarious. Now you have to understand, I'm rapping on every fucking door. I am going everywhere and I'm screaming from the mountaintops. There's something really bad happening here and somebody needs to fucking step in right the fuck now. So what do? I have to contact this witch acting as the chief justice of the court, right? This Melissa Gillespie. So what do I get back? And this is personal and confidential. Well, first of all, it's not personal, bitch. This is a fucking public matter. Right? You're stealing my real estate. You're stealing my security. And confidential. You're a fucking public servant. This is a public fucking courthouse. It's not personal and it's not fucking confidential. And if you thought that I was going to fucking cover for your ugliness, you got to... And so, get this. Furthermore, your recent correspondence does not raise a matter that would alter any of the conclusions set out in our previous correspondence to you, nor does it raise a matter within the Chief Judge's authority under the Provincial Court Act. So they're using a lie to cover up an act of genocide. So do you see how useless they all are? Absolutely useless. So writing, in summary, is you have not raised a matter within the Chief Judge's authority under the Provincial Court Act. We remain unable to assist you. So these fucking witches, these three witches here, you've got Lung, Dom, and Gillespie. That coven has just aided and abetted an act of genocide and allowed money laundering to go on in the completely corrupt BC real estate industry. Fucking, you couldn't make this shit up if you tried. Because they're just going to ignore this. Right here it is, right here. Here's my notice of civil claim. It's got the court stamp on it. It's got the court seal on it. I paid money. Good money, that I couldn't even afford to pay. Right? So when they're stealing the house, I'm going in. And I saw Demon David Mindless Maggot Masuhara, who lies his face off. You should have seen this fucking puke, this Demon Daniel Carroll. The fucking puke comes in there with a 15-pound binder of bullshit. 15-pound binder of bullshit. Filled with nothing but fucking lies to steal my house. So they can put fraudulent mortgage after fraudulent mortgage on my stolen property. And fucking Masuhara's all about it. You should have heard these two. Well, you're going to hear them because I'm going to go pick up the court hearing recordings. Right, yeah, dismissed or denied, dismissed or denied. Right, of course. Yeah, you don't have any authority, puke face. You don't have any authority, none of you did. You know, because I've paid their bills, right? They're accusing me of not paying bills. But after they stole my house, CIBC became responsible for all the household bills. And instead, I'm paying their bills for them. With survivor pension benefits that finally did come in because I fought for them. And they caved because they had to, because I had proof like I always do. So this is how fucking sick that they are. Yeah, here's Johnston. You should have heard how that fucking witch spoke to me. Just absolutely fucking disgusting. They wouldn't let me speak. And because it was so close to me being kicked out of my house, they made sure they refused to allow me the time to fight for an injunction. So here's C. Murray. That's the witch I saw the next day. On February the 28th, right? Because they've stolen the house. And now they've told me that they're stealing the entire, like, all the sale price. They're just going to embezzle the entire estate, and I'm never going to get any of it. And it's all on court recordings, which I'm going to go get. Okay, so here's hilarious. Now, do you understand that CIBC has stolen the house? They stole it by way of application and title fraud. Now, do you understand that what you're looking at here is the vendor's statement of adjustments? So you've got the vendor being CIBC. You've got the two Asian abominations who'd never had valid title to the house. So all of this debt here. So what happened is, because they had embezzled the entire estate, they flipped me back into being the homeowner so they could steal the closing costs from the estate. They stole the closing costs from the estate. They flipped me back into being the homeowner so they could steal what they are supposed to be paying because they're the homeowner. CIBC is the homeowner, the fraudulent fucking homeowner. Do you see how fucking... Do you understand the level of fucking sick that I'm dealing with? Now, who else could hold up under this kind of fucking ugliness and evil and fucking stupidity? And these are your bar members today. These are your bankers, these are your bar members, and these are these witches acting as justices. This is what they're doing all day, every day. What are you going to do about it? So then, of course, I'm trying to get something happening with CIBC, and this is a letter I get from one of these fucking pukes pretending to be the ombudsman. Right? I'm not allowed to, for open community, listen to me. No, you gotta read this. It's just the fucking sickest thing I've ever fucking heard in my life. They're not gonna do anything for me. And nor had they ever planned to do anything for me. But they're gonna jerk me around for fucking how many fucking years, going through this ombudsperson's process, which never gets anybody anywhere. Because they're just fucking, they're vile, right? Here is the writ of possession. This is a desk order. That's why there's now been desk orders issued for the judgments in damages against District of Saanich, the Provincial Court of British Columbia, CIBC, Senator Dennis, Benjamin Howe, and Howe Fam Holdings. They're desk orders. Once I sign them, they're in full fucking force and effect. Because Belly here, that's not a proper signature. So how did the court seal get on this document? If nobody actually signed the document, because it's not signed. That's not a fucking signature. And yet, look at this fucking thing. Writ of possession. March the 4th. You are commanded. Right? Who are they fucking commanding? Well, those, the witches who act for the BC Attorney General. That's who's aided and abetted this act of genocide. The persons, the male and female arrogant abominations acting as the BC Attorney Generals, they appoint those fucking sheriffs and those bailiffs to come and commit an act of genocide against me. And you are also commanded promptly to seize and sell at public auction or tender for the best price available sufficient of the goods and chattels of the respondent, my spouse, to realize the plaintiff's costs. You see, now I'm paying for their crime again against me. Me and my spouse, my innocent spouse, we're now paying for their fucking crime. Anybody fucking home? Are you paying attention at all? So here's the court bailiff here. That's who came to the house. This Peter Innes. And this Constable Francisco Avales came to my house after Bradley Walker called him and lied that I was going to commit suicide because that's what they're trying to get me to do. And this fucking sewer rat, this puke department fucking asshole, him and some other witch tricked me they came into my home, and Puke Face here didn't want to do anything all night because he was on night shift. So he decided to lie and say that I was going to harm myself. So they sectioned me under the Mental Health Act. There was somebody else on the telephone and heard the entire conversation and heard me say, "You're not taking me out of my home. You're not taking me out of my house. I will not consent to what you're doing to me. You're not going to be helping me at all." So me and fucking Francisco we go to the fucking nut house at 11 o'clock at fucking night, right? The female fucking monkey, she takes me, and Francisco Avales sits there all fucking night. I end up in a room with this fucking Francisco Avales, and for an hour I explained to him what's happened to me and my family. And it's the same fucking song and dance. I'm somebody else's problem. You're a fucking police officer. I'm explaining to you my house is being stolen. I'm explaining to you what's happened to my son. And you tell, well, maybe you should go to the media, this fucking puke face says to me. No, actually, you should just fucking do your job. You should just fucking do your job. That's what you should do. Just fucking do your job. And you have to go arrest Bradley Walker and Jay Yoon because they have now aided and abetted an act of genocide. And now here they are stealing my car. My spouse gifted me a car and it's now being stolen from me. Along with, well, pretty much everything in the home had to be left for the two Asian abominations who never had proper title to my house in the first place because it had been stolen by CIBC, which doesn't even fucking exist. It's a fucking fiction. And then you should have seen the storage locker that they forced me into. It wasn't even a quarter way full. They could have taken way more property than they did. And not only that, but they're now sticking me with the storage locker bill after stealing everything and stealing all the money. Plus I've got nowhere to go. And they don't care. And it's the beginning of the scamdemic and all the fucking places to go are shut down, locked down. They won't let anybody stay there. Oh, here's a fucking fax to David Eby, who could care less. Who could care less. You know, just another useless piece of fucking shit. Yeah, I was forced against my will into prostitution, raped repeatedly. I was infected repeatedly by the rapists. But nobody seems to give a fuck about that, right? Well, essential elements of a valid contract. I can guarantee you that none of those mortgage contracts are valid because the bank doesn't sign them. And here we go. On February the 11th, 2021, they're running the second satanic Masonic ritual on me to get rid of my notice of civil claim, which I showed you earlier. And Chris Cunt Chelsea, the mindless maggot Mac, she's lying for Daniel Carroll. She's lying for Daniel Carroll. And there's some witch from fucking CIBC, right, on the call. And let's see here. Now, they've crossed out, I wrote over this, but if you can, I'll read it to you. So this was February the 11th. They've raped me on January the 21st. Reprobate Robert the Puke Punnett and Johnny Van Camp here, this witch Johnny Van Camp. They've put a flunky on here, Rebecca Watnott. Yeah, because they're not gonna give me any justice. They're not gonna return my biological real property. They're not gonna fucking arrest any of the bankers or any of the banker lawyers or any of the witches acting as justices who have now committed another act of genocide against me, because they're all on the same fucking team. It's a brotherhood of fucking bullshit. See, on the application of the Attorney General of British Columbia, what the fuck, that doesn't even exist. Coming on for hearing, no, it's a satanic ritual actually, at 850 Burdett Avenue, right, on hearing Rebecca Watnott, articling student, and Johnny Van Camp, counsel for the Attorney General, appearing by telephone, and then they crossed me out, and no one appearing on behalf of the plaintiffs, because I was never going to be heard anyway, so there was no point. But I did tape that satanic ritual. I did tape that satanic ritual, and I have uploaded it on my YouTube channel and on my BitChute channel, so you can hear what's happening. And then I had cut it off when the witches were still speaking, because I'd had enough at some point, but Tracy Baxter stayed on the call. So this thing here, Master Book, oh please, has written in there that I've appeared. So the court ordered that the notice of civil claim is struck in its entirety pursuant to Rule 9.5. And I can't have it amended. And the action is completely dismissed. And the requirement for me, to sign and approve this form of order is dispensed with. And then I have to pay the cost of the application to the Minister of Finance skank in a lump sum of $500. Are you fucking joking? Are you hearing what I'm showing you? After I did thousands of fucking hours of work, I spent all this money I couldn't even fucking afford to get law and justice for my family. And not only do I got law and justice, by the way, you can take your fucking Rule 9.5 and shove it right the fuck up your ass. It's you fucking pigs, pukes, and dogs who are frivolous, vexatious, scandalous, have no fucking merit. You are absolute fucking liars. You are lawless fucking witches, every single one of you. And you're all guilty of genocide, and that's life imprisonment. And that's exactly where you're going, because I am your prosecutor. Book, bitch. You're all fucking finished. So you can't enforce this fucking fraudulent as fuck court order without my fucking approval or my signature. So that's why, when I have now adjudicated the matters correctly, and now there's been orders granted to me and my family for damages, right? They're desk orders. Just like the writ of possession was a desk order, these judgments, these orders of foreign judgment for general, special, statutory, punitive, and aggravated damages against myself and my family, once I sign them, they're in full fucking force and effect, and I don't need any fucking approval from any fucking witch acting as a fucking justice, acting as the court, acting as registrar. Once I sign it, it's fucking finished. I don't even that fucking satanic court seal on it. No thanks. I don't need fucking the witch's seal on my lawful documents. And you just should have paid what I told you to pay when I told you to pay it, because now it's gotten way worse for you. Because the King of Kings is well aware that this satanic cult, named the province of British Columbia, absolutely can pay the $730 million King's Common Law High Court desk order, and you're going to pay it. You're fucking right, you're going to pay it. And so is fucking CIBC. Yeah, going to pay the $3.7 billion judgment. You've committed genocide. That's why I fought for an injunction, because there's no fucking way you can ever compensate me financially for what you've done to me and what you did to me and what you continue to do to me today, because you all fucking think you're above the law. Do you know how much money fucking CIBC posts every year? Because I looked it up in 2020, and their gross income for 2020 was $6.4 billion. So don't think that they can't pay, because let's see, they were attacking me in 2019, 2020, 21, and now 2022. So you've got 4 years of attacks on me and my life. And in those fucking 4 years, those fucking pukes have pulled in $20 billion. $20 billion. Close to $20 billion in income. So you're telling me that they can't pay $3.7 billion in general, special, statutory, punitive, and aggravated damages for an act of genocide against me and my family, so they could fucking roll a couple of fraudulent mortgages on my property? Oh, they're going to pay. You see, because what you did to me, I'm going to do to you. And I have every lawful right to do that to you, because that's the law. What you did to me, I do to you. So now it's only gotten way worse. And now we've got orders for, assisted suicide for all of you. Because life imprisonment, that's going to, $85,000 a year it's going to cost to put each and every one of you in prison for the rest of your lives. And the taxpayers are not going to be willing to foot that bill for you. And you have no hope and no future anyway. So, I mean, why would you want to continue on, right? You're children of the devil. You have no hope and no future, and you never did. Go in and read these. It's not like I don't post them everywhere. And the judgments stand. They're in full force and effect. Once I sign them, I'm sorry, but they're going to be paid. Yeah, so there was some fucking call from Ontario this afternoon. I didn't notice until after I have no money, right? So I have to try to survive, and that's a full-time job in itself. So I was out at a food bank this afternoon trying to find enough sustenance to get by. So I didn't see that till way later. That some fucking puke from Ontario's calling. Who's calling from Ontario? Is that some fucking sewer rat pretending to be CIBC? Because you can be guaranteed you're paying that court order. And you can be guaranteed Johnny Van